So space-time theory is correct. Right? Sider denies that because he says we're not number three. All we're allowed to move we're allowed to make here is that if space-time theory is true, then backwards causation is possible. Right? So then that entails that if backwards causation is possible, then in theory time travel is possible. And so in order to make this argument work, they've got to give us reasons to think time travel. Right. So what are the positions in free will? Right. That's the three ones that Humer talked about. So Humer talks about soft determinism, hard determinism, and libertarianism. And we talked about two more. There were two we talked about. Three.
Subcategories, compatibilism, and incompatibilism.
Yeah, so there was compatibilism was one, right? Because yeah, incompatibilism and compatibilism are subcategories, and then we have under compatibilism we just had soft determinism, and then just kind of a bare compatibilism, right? So the compatibilist just says free will and determinism are compatible. Right? The soft determinist takes that and then adds to it. Right? So the soft determinist is a compatibilist, so they accept compatibilism plus two other claims. They accept compatibilism and we have free will and determinism is true. Okay? Then on the incompatibilist, we have hard determinism and libertarianism. So they're both incompatibilist views. So they both say you can't have free will and determinism. Hard determinism adds to that claim, adds to incompatibilism that determinism is true, and so we don't have free will. The libertarian adds to the incompatibilist claim that we have free will, and so determinism. And then we mentioned one other view, just to kind of complete some of the logical space here. We talked about semi-compatibilism. Remember, semi-compatibilism is the view that free will and determinism are not compatible. They're incompatible. But semi-compatibilism says moral responsibility and free will are compatible. So it's this sort of view that wants to break apart free will and moral responsibility.
Free will is not necessary for moral responsibility.
That's what the semi-compatible is. And so since they claim that, then they want to say, well, then one of those can be compatible with determinism and the other. Everybody else on the debate, that's why, remember, we wrote the semi-compatibilists over here. Everybody else in the debate accepts that free will and moral responsibility go hand in hand. You can't have it. What ways of supporting soft determinism was It's three. Right, yeah. So as Bruce mentioned, one of them is the soft determinists will sometimes argue that determinism is necessary for freedom, right? Because they'll say, look, without determinism, our actions are just random chance, and so that can't count as freedom. Determinism is necessary. Two other ways. Yeah, sure. Right. So one of the reasons why you might think you can't have free will if determinism is true is because you might think if determinism is true, you don't have alternate possibilities. You need alternate possibilities for free will. As Trevor mentioned, one of the responses, one of the ways of defending soft determinism is to argue that you don't need alternative possibilities to have free will. So if they're correct about that, then you don't have this problem. And there's one other way.
All alternate possibilities require the one.
Right, exactly. So the other way is, right, so you accept that free will requires alternate possibilities. But as the soft determinist, you say, yeah, but even if determinism is true, you can have alternate possibilities Because all alternate possibilities really mean is that if you wanted to do something different, you would have done something. Yep, you can still have alternate possibilities. That's the big point. And the way they do that is they say, what it means to have an alternate possibility is just simply that if you wanted to do this other thing, you would have done it. Now, some worries about that, you mentioned, right? If you're incompatibilist, you typically respond with, yeah, but the only way you could have wanted something different, given determinism, is if the laws of nature were different, or the initial conditions of the universe were different. So it's not really clear that you could do
Yes, I have, for 11, what is the major rejection in self-determinism?
Uh-huh.
You described. One, if determinism is true, then your actions are a result of initial conditions of the universe or laws of nature. Two, your actions are a result of laws of nature plus initial conditions of the universe, and your actions are up to you only if you have control of the laws of the universe and initial conditions of the universe. You don't have control of either of those. If determinism is true, your actions are up to you and you don't have control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll just solve it, no?
Did you say that in 0.25?
125, yeah. So we'll slow it down a little bit. And do you need to know it on word for word? Well, you need to know what it says. Am I going to ask you to say, hey, repeat this exactly?
Yeah.
No. But if you get a question that asks you, what is this major objection to self-determinism? Get the gist of it, but get it right. So the reason why I say that is because a lot of times what we think of as, I got the gist of this, if the wording is off sometimes, it doesn't have to be the exact wording, but certain words can make a difference, right? So if something's worded the wrong way, it actually changes. So we'll go over it again. So this is the major objection to self-determinism, at least from you. And it comes in form of an argument, as it should. Objection shouldn't just be, screw you, self-determinists. It needs to be an argument. And you can say that could be an objection. Premise one, if determinism is true, then your actions, so everything you do, is a consequence of two things. A consequence of the laws of the universe, right? So the laws of physics, and the way the universe started, the initial conditions of the universe. So however that was, Big Bang or whatever, simplicity assume that. So however thing was right at that instant, plus the laws of nature, that fixes everything you do. So if determinism is true, your actions are just a consequence of the way the universe started, plus the laws of nature. Second premise, if your actions are just the consequences of the laws of nature, plus the way the universe started. So if your actions really are just a consequence of the way the universe began, plus the laws of nature, then your actions are up to you. Right? You're free to do what you want, but really up to you with your actions this way. Only if one of two things. Either you have control over the laws of nature, or you have control over how the universe started. The thought is, if it's true that your actions are the result of the way the universe began, plus the laws of nature, then your actions are really only up to you. They're only free if you have either control over the way things started or over the laws of nature. Then the third premise is the straightforward one. You don't have control over the laws of nature or the way the universe started. You run around. You don't control the laws of nature. So it follows, the conclusion is a conditional conclusion, right? The conclusion that follows is that if determinism is true, then your actions aren't up to you. They're not.
So the next question you asked me how to
Yeah.
I look at determinism to because of alternate possibilities and rational self-proof, we tend to reasonable and with hard conduct.
Right.
But why can't you reason?
Good, yeah, so here's the thought. He gives two things, right? So these humors two are